Salvete omnes. If you'd like to support the channel along with these patrons, there's a link in the description box below. Errare est humanum. To err is human. We're going to go through a few common mistakes in Latin. First, there are two ways to say where in Latin. Ubi es et quo is. Where are you and where are you going? Ubi means where in the sense of in what place. And quo is more like where to. So how do we say where do you live? Ubi habitas. The words meaning always and often look very similar. Semper means always, and saipe means often. Right now, people will tell you to manus saipe lava, which means wash your hands often. Especially if you get sap on your hands, you'll need to wash them often. Something to try and help you remember this form. The word semper is in a few famous sayings like sic semper tyrannis, thus always with tyrants. Allegedly, this is what John Wilkes Booth shouted just before he assassinated President Lincoln. And the motto of the Marines is Semper Fidelis, always faithful or always loyal. In Latin, pronouns like I, you, we, etc. are mainly used for emphasis or contrast. So if you say ego te amo, this is like saying I love you instead of just I love you. You see, if we say ego te amo, it's like we're answering the question, who loves me? But when we're just making normal declarative sentences, we don't need pronouns and can just say te amo. And if you only speak English, the way that you say you like something in Latin might take some getting used to. Look at this example. Mathematica mihi placet. It's like saying mathematics is pleasing to me, or mathematics pleases me. Remember, mihi is the dative form of ego, meaning to me or for me. And we have to be careful with plurals, because to say I like languages, we say linguae mihi placent. You see, the verb has to also become plural, because it's languages are pleasing to me. But if we want to say what we like to do, we can use the word libenter. For example, libenter lego. I like to read. Maybe thinking I read liberally might help you remember this word. By itself, it's also the way to say you're welcome. So it's kind of like saying gladly, libenter. And of course, as with every language, there are a ton of false friends. It in Latin means he, she, or it goes. This is the third person form of eo. It's the word id with a d that means it in Latin. The word is does not mean is, but means he in Latin. The Latin for is of course est. And hopefully you know that sum means I am and not some. Finally, one word to watch out for is invitus, which has absolutely nothing to do with the word invite. It actually means unwilling or reluctant. So what does this mean? Invitus feci. I did it against my will. There's a whole host of words that are easily confused because they differ in only a letter or two. We'll go through some of these here. The most important are probably ab and ad. The easiest way to remember which is that absent means you're away. So ab means from or away, while ad means toward or at. Maximus ab urbe habest. Maximus is out of town, or absent from the town. Aliquis ad januam adest. Someone is at the door. And notice there are also opposites in their declinations. Ab triggers the ablative, and ad triggers the accusative. At the beginning of this video, we saw the phrase errare est humanum. So how would we say he or she errs? Errat. This is almost the same as the imperfect form of est, erat. The only difference is the length of the R roll. The short version is almost like a D. It's a quick tap, erat. And how would we say, I often make mistakes? Saipe erro. Another pair of words that we have seen are the following. The words liber and liber have three different meanings. Liber only means book, but liber can mean either child or can mean free or independent. So it can be either a noun or an adjective. The reason it has both these meanings is because liber refers only to free children, as in those that were not children of slaves. And finally, two words that are also easy to confuse are audire and audere. But you can tell these apart because the first person form of the first one is audio. So obviously this means to hear or listen to. And the other is connected to the word audacious. So audes means you dare. And finally, look at these two words, servare and servire. Which do you think means to serve? It's a little clearer if we look at them in first person. Serio. Sounds like serve you, serio. And servo looks like servo and means to save, store, watch over, etc. An example of a servo is power steering, which saves hydraulic energy so that it's easier to turn the wheel. Also, servare contains an A, just like the word save. So how is your Latin? Do you have trouble with any of these words? Leave a comment below if there are some other common mistakes that you find yourself making. See you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and if you can, help support the channel on Patreon, where there are audio downloads and transcripts of each dialogue and story. Gratias!